2042's gameplay, design decisions, and performance has created a lot of frustration in the community. One of the biggest concerns a lot of players have expressed have been around the game's map design. The main issues being they're just too damn big. There's not enough cover for infantry, vehicles absolutely dominate, and the clean, barren aesthetic kills the idea that there's an ongoing battle. But recently, an interesting showcase of what the maps could have been was revealed. A DICE artist on ArtStation posted a large batch of concept artwork showing a richer, more lived-in world. From more Levolution to grand environmental changes like floods, there's a lot that could have been. Here's a closer look. Before we dive too deep, I just want it to be known, concept art is a very early part of a game's development. It's a playground to test ideas and paint what this world could look like. Some of these ideas could have been scrapped very early on, based on design decisions or even technical feasibility. Maps like Orbital had some of the biggest ideas, showcasing a changing landscape where floodwater comes up along the coast, covering nearby capture points and potentially affecting gameplay. This image shows it best, with the base of C2's tower getting covered in water. Tornadoes show buildings getting absolutely destroyed on Kaleidoscope, throwing debris everywhere and dirtying up probably the cleanest map out of them all, at least in the area with the big buildings. Now, some could argue that the tornadoes are kind of gimmicky, they don't really affect gameplay, and the floods would have been the same way. And that's all potentially true, but the scale of these ideas feel more grand, more impactful, leaving behind a huge trail of destruction that could leave behind more cover and more opportunities for infantry play. Kaleidoscope has some of this destruction with the sign falling off the building, but there's cars turned over, stacked on one another where you can hide behind as infantry. Destruction aside, the concept art for Hourglass has probably the biggest design changes, and it's probably my favorite what could have been. The map looks absolutely amazing with volumetric lighting casting from the cityscape and a more connected highway system that's also covered with lights. There's just so much life there. There's more varied terrain with tall buildings scattered throughout, some in the north and some in the south buried in the sand. The terrain looks so much more evenly distributed, solving the map's current issues of constantly getting stomped by vehicles out in the open. The other maps featured some smaller changes. I did notice a channel of water in Renewal, but I'm not sure how that would really affect gameplay. There's also additional flooding in Manifest, mostly in the background. But damn, that Hourglass. Out of all the ideas shown, this seems like the most feasible. So that makes you question, why don't we have this? I'm sure you have seen the mess of last gen's performance and input lag. Technical limitations of last gen consoles limit the gameplay to 64 players and smaller boundaries of the existing all-out war maps. So I'm left wondering, could PC and next gen have had a better experience if the older consoles were excluded? Were they limited on some of the map design decisions because they had to have a more unified feel across platforms? I'm sure the extra terrain detail is a performance hit in some way, complicating an already chuggy game, but we need really drastic changes to the maps to bring balance to the game. Running marathons only to get murdered by a bolt's lag bullets once you reach your destination is not fun. Many players have already given up, and unless DICE can address this soon, I fear we might lose a great chunk of the player base in the upcoming months. There's a lot of what ifs here, and I do love to imagine what could have been because some of these images are so full of life and absolute chaos, and I want to go to there.